Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review College Football Game Day Edition. My Missouri Tigers play Thursday night. I don't know when KU plays.
Thursday night in a
Oh,
soccer stadium.
in the soccer stadium.
Yes. My Jayhawks are renovating their field this year. Will play their first two games at Sporting Park, which is where the MLS team plays, and then four at Arrowhead, home of the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. So that's actually pretty close to me. So that'll be nice to. Of course, one game is during IFPA, so I'll miss that one.
You
Bummer.
know what? I bet you the Arrowhead Stadium will have plenty of seats available.
Yeah, you say that, but we are back-to-back bowl champs. So and we got 16 teams in our conference now. It's called 12. It's not as dumb as 18 in the Big Ten.
Well, we've got more news in the Kroger and Albertsons saga. Arguments kicked off in one of the court cases, this one in the U.S. District Court in Portland, Oregon. The FTC versus a couple of different states, and FTC with a couple of different states versus Kroger and Albertsons. And there were a couple of really interesting arguments made so far. One of them is going all over social media right now about how Kroger did in fact raise its milk and egg prices higher than inflation. And so they were kind of called to task on, why are you doing that? First of all, and the people who are talking corporate greed and all this other stuff are like, look at this. But the one that I found the most interesting, the argument that I thought was like the one that everyone should be paying attention to, is, and this is something that I have seen some retail analysts talk about over the last couple of years. This is kind of a do or die for Albertsons. And Albertsons attorneys said that if this merger doesn't go through, Albertsons is still for sale. And it'll be a lot messier if it's not Kroger.
Yeah, basically, I would read that as a threat
Yeah.
because if these state attorneys general are concerned about monopoly and raising prices, the argument on this is if we don't get bought, we're going to shut down stores, lay off workers, and that will lead to the same conclusion. So,
They
you
said
know,
higher prices, shut down stores, lay off workers, higher prices, fewer choices. So that is definitely a threat. I'm like, you want to see higher prices right now? Yeah, it's coming if you don't go with us on that. I can't remember what percentage higher Albertsons prices were found to be than their market competitors. But Kroger, I think, according to I linked out to some of the best stories that I saw on this. Instead of rewriting all those reporters' work, I just picked the best ones and said, "Hey, go look at these." And it turns out that Albertsons prices were already higher. And they only stand to get lower if this merger goes through. And if they don't sell, I mean, who else would buy Albertsons? What other retailer out there is trying to expand its physical presence, perhaps?
Albertsons is awfully big, so you're talking. I mean, you would assume it'd be someone bigger,
Yeah,
I
who's
guess, or
bigger
it
than
could
that?
be it could be private equity, in which case it does not matter. But they're also looking, private equity would see an incredibly competitive landscape, and maybe that's not the one they want to get in. It's a tough market with low margins, and despite what the FTC implies, it is a very wide market, not monopolistic, in my opinion.
It's yeah, it is. I mean, a box of Cheerios is a box of Cheerios is a box of Cheerios. And there's a whole lot of range of what they can do to make money on that same box of Cheerios. But if a different player entered this market that is not a Kroger, say an Amazon or something like that, something that's got some deep pockets and some wide reach and a huge network, There's not very many players that could pick up something like Albertsons unless it's something like private equity, and Albertsons has already been through that. So it is really interesting, and you should go check out some of these links. And as this goes on, there are 2 other court cases that are on the docket scheduled to start in September. One is in Colorado, one is in Washington state. I'm wondering, what's the outcome of this is going to be. Right now it's just right now they're in the district court case. They're just asking for a temporary injunction, I think, to block the merger while an administrative judge goes over it. So they're just saying, please don't rush this. Let's cautiously, although this has been going on for what, 2 years, almost 2 years.
Yeah,
This is stinking of Whole Foods Wild Oats of how long this is taking. So, but
except
that's
larger in scope.
way larger in scope. And although I will note that when Whole Foods bought Wild Oats, what happened after Whole Foods bought Wild Oats? We had Sunflower and Sprouts. And those both popped up almost nearly identical to Wild Oats. And then, there was the Henry's angle of it. So they're basically copying off the Henry's angle, which was a copy off of the Wild Oats angle, which was, they were all the same store. And Sprouts now has 400 stores, close to 500. So where there are groceries to be purchased, there is a format that people prefer to purchase them. And I'm not sure how much it matters who owns the format.
Yeah. It seems like government really doesn't need to be in this situation. I think the market will take care of it.
Right? Speaking of the market, Bonduelle, which owned Ready Pack Foods, right? That's Bonduelle Group. They have a huge presence in Europe, and I caught a news release this week about them selling off their salad business in France and Germany. They were first to clarify that, of course, this does not have any bearing on their business in Italy and North America. They're still continuing on heavy demand, but the news release said that they saw for the past 10 years, the Bonduelle Group has faced a structural decline in salad consumption in France and Germany. And they said it's exacerbated by inflation and the increased competition from private labels. And if you look at the salad market in the United States, that is just kind of mind-boggling for those of us who shop in the United States and see what's going on with salad and salad trends here. I was really shocked.
Private label
Private label
is increasing here, and is that going to squeeze some of those companies?
Well, we did see Dole try to sell off its salad division, right? And then they canceled that. But I will note, as someone, and this isn't bragging, I just visit friends and family, but I do shop for groceries in Germany and France.
When I was shopping in France and Germany for groceries last Christmas, or should I say holiday.
So yeah, when I'm holidaying
in Europe,
I do go to the grocery store, and I have noticed. And actually, my very good friend who lived in Bavaria, she bemoaned this all the time. There's not very many salad kits in Europe, and they're just not very popular. Not like they are here. Convenience food in general is not what it is here. And the ones that I saw in Switzerland, they're kind of a weird take on salad kits, and a pale shadow of what we see here. We go to the salad department, and it is a wall of restaurant quality options. Like if you want to have something that you could have at Panera, for example, or P.F. Chang's is another good example of Man Packing, and P.F. Chang's have the actual salad from P.F. Chang's. You can buy it at the grocery store. You don't see demand for that kind of thing in Europe, and especially in France, where a salad is basically mâché, I think is the cut of it, and it's just like an oil and vinegar dressing on it, and that's it. And it's with every meal, and I mean, they all eat it, and then they must have very good salad consumption, but that's not exactly a Caesar cracked pepper Caesar chopped salad kit. Uh,
Right. Well, another interesting bit in that release that jumped out at us was the name of the company that is exclusively negotiating for Bonduelle's salads in Germany, and that would be Taylor Farms, who is the class of salads in the United States at retail, and they also supply a lot of restaurants in the US. So for them to be possibly taking over the Germany angle, maybe it's a quality issue in Germany and they could raise the stakes on that.
Maybe it's a market development issue. Maybe it's a marketing issue. If there is a company that knows how to sell a bag of salad, I think it's the one that Bruce Taylor is affiliated with.
Yeah, I would tend to place my bet on that one.
Right. So maybe it's a chicken and egg situation here, and they need a better egg. So just thought that one was really interesting, but it also kind of ties in with the third thing we picked out to talk about today. And Circana is backing all of us moms up by saying we have food at home, and
Right.
somebody's listening. Um,
Yeah, they threw out a big number. They say 86% of eating occasions are sourced from home. And that translates to, according to their data, was it 100 consumers ate 116 more meals at home over the past year than they did pre-pandemic. So that seems like a lot, but if you do a little quick head math, 3 meals a day, 365, say 1,000 meals, so 116, 11%.
yeah,
That's still significant. That's a significant shift.
yeah. I mean, 10 or to double digits more meals at home than we're eating pre-pandemic. That seems like, and there was one specific meal case, and I think a lot of people will get this when you listen to it. It's lunches. Lunches are the one that people are eating at home, and it's like, well, I mean, if you look over here to my left here, I got my husband sitting over at his desk. He eats all his meals at home now because he's not going into the office nearly as much as he was before, and a lot of Americans are in that similar boat, eating more meals at home because they're working more at home.
Yeah, not only that, but business travel is down because you can't go visit people in their offices if they aren't there. And so you're
Right.
not taking them out to lunch or dinner. Um, Anecdotally, we definitely knew this to be the case over the last 4 years, but they put a number to it in this survey and they said lunchtime traffic at restaurants is about half of what it was at pre-pandemic. So that is a huge number.
Yeah, I mean, huge numbers. And they're also talking about the timing of meals. And this is something that Circana and Hartman Group, I can remember over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, was talking about fewer actual meals and more of the occasions of eating are snacking, and not like a plate of food, for example. And I think we're going to see more of that, especially as, we're working at home. I can just walk downstairs, go to my kitchen and grab an apple, or I can, get whatever I want to get. I don't actually make a main dish and two sides to eat my food most of the time. Although I am happier and more fulfilled if I do that instead of just eating a handful of walnuts and a head of romaine, which I have been known to do.
So the whole snacking thing, this is a bigger story, but that's an eating occasion that fresh produce just has to kick butt in.
Yeah.
There's so many perfect items for snacking, and and that's a habit that most people can do pretty easily and shift over to that. I mean, just replacing what you were snacking with before with fruit or veg, like that's it. You do that once a day, you're so far ahead of where you were before, health wise.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that's going to be part of the message. I know we just started to get some National Nutrition Month messaging from IFPA and the Produce for Better Health Foundation, or what is it? The Foundation for Fresh
Found it.
Produce?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I knew there was a foundation in there. So the more we can emphasize that, hey, if you're at home, there is really no excuse for you going down there and eating a spoonful of peanut butter, and instead of a cucumber, for example. I guess TikTok can give you some tips on what you can eat as that cucumber as a snack. But you just have to have the motivation and to be shown how easy it is. And sometimes someone needs to remind you. And there is no limit on how many times you can remind someone what you can do and how you can do it and do it better. So, yeah.
That's true. TikTok is good at that.
All right. Well, that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And happy Labor Day weekend.
Yes. Happy Labor Day weekend.
Summer still officially goes for 3 weeks past Labor Day.
You know what?
Football starts.
It is 84 degrees outside right now. That is false fall here. It's false fall. I can smell the pumpkin spice wafting in the window. So
Yeah, the Midwest has second summer going, so I'm about to head out to mid-90s here in a few minutes.
see ya.